Okay, maybe this works. I don't know. We'll see. But aside from the technical difficulties, I really do know the stock market well. I took $12,000 and turned it into roughly 2 million within 4 years. Now I'm up to nearly 4 million several years later, and I probably could be at 10 or 20 million if I focus purely on my own trading and not helping others. Fortunately, though, for you, I have learned to make money on my own and to help others at the same time. I think it's a very amazing business model. Some people disagree. A lot of people think that if you find the secrets of the stock market to making a lot of money, you should just keep them to yourself and laugh all the way to the bank. I think that's a very selfish, just selfish and truly evil kind of thought process, and I hope to change that. I wish that more successful stock market participants would share their knowledge and wisdom so that not as many people lose for no reason, and not as many people make just boneheaded mistakes. I am 100% self-taught. There was never any mentor for me, and that is a great disadvantage because I made a lot of mistakes for many years and I didn't know any better. And I'm thankful that I made those mistakes now. I'm thankful for the losses as well as my gains because it hasn't just been, a straight up path to several millions of dollars in profits. But I want to try and help you guys steer clear of some of the mistakes that I've made. And I want to be the mentor to you that I never had. I've done very well. My track record does set me apart. You can see my verified performance. I was the #1 ranked trader out of 60,000 plus traders on Covestor for 4 years straight when they were ranking traders. And then they switched to actually a different business model, so they got away from just the rankings. But while they were ranking, I was #1. And it's because I make solid every single year. And I've been doing this pretty much every single year for 15 years. I have had some losses along the way. But in the past few years, I've really refined my trading rules and gotten more disciplined. You can see I made 141% in 2009, 57% in 2010, 54% in 2011, 38% in 2012, 66% in 2013, and in the first 5 months of 2014, I am up 122%. We're working on getting everything audited too, just so that you can see that these are not. I'm not playing with paper money. This is real money. These are real performance numbers, and I've been featured all over the press: CNN, CNBC, Fox, ABC, the New York Times, Forbes, TheStreet.com, MarketWatch, New York Observer. I can't even keep track of how many press hits I've gotten, but that's cool. I like sharing my knowledge. I like spreading what I've learned in my story because I think it's inspirational. And I was also on this TV show called Wall Street Warriors, which many of you have seen on the old TV network Mojo. It's now on Hulu.com. I highly suggest you watch it. If you're in a country that does not allow Hulu, then just use YouTube. But my proudest accomplishment, 2 Trading Challenge student millionaires so far. This was myself and Tim Grittani on Fox and Friends a few weeks ago. And they featured us because he is my actually second millionaire student. He turned 24, or he was 24. He turned $1,500 of his own money into over 1 million in roughly 2.5 years. Now, just over 3 years into being my student, he's at 1.73 million in profits. You can see every single one of his trades on Profitly. Michael Good was my first Trading Challenge student millionaire, and he's up to 1.32 million. And the cool thing is that both of them also now help me teach. So I've kind of taught them to make money, but then also give back to the other Trading Challenge students, which is cool. They both give webinars every few days. So this is by far my proudest accomplishment. Making money for myself, that's cool. But taking somebody like Tim Grittani, where he didn't have a lot of money, he didn't know anything about the stock market, and turning him into a self-made millionaire and a self-sufficient millionaire, I should add, because for example, one day he made $200,000 plus while I was sleeping soundly in Japan due to the time difference, and it was on a pattern straight out of my DVDs. I couldn't have been prouder. So fantastic, and Fox and Friends was cool. We were also on Fox with Cavuto and CNN. The press loves this story, but I hope that it serves as inspiration to you to show you what's possible. When I took 12,000 and turned it into nearly 2 million in a few years, people said I was lucky. They said I was a fraud. Well, guess what? Now my students are doing it, and all the haters are kind of quieting down. They're like, wait a minute, this guy might be telling the truth. This is crazy. And that's the beauty of my business. I have the easiest job in the world. I just have to tell you the truth, as unbelievable as it might sound. That's why I show all of my trades. My top students show all our trades. And if you want to hate on that, then I don't know what's wrong with you, because this is the American dream. And it's not just for Americans, it's for everybody. So let me talk about what really just inspired me to start this webinar. There's a hashtag Wolfpack on Twitter that became very popular with the marijuana stocks. Marijuana was recently legalized in a few states, and the marijuana stocks just soared in value exponentially. And the Wolfpack invested in these marijuana stocks, and they loved it. And they made a lot of money. A few thousand into several hundred thousands. A few of them did. But unfortunately, the marijuana stocks all also crashed 50, 70, 90, some 99%. Some of them have been halted by the SEC for misinformation and trading abuses. And a lot of the Wolfpack, their power has been just crushed. And I feel terrible about them. I got this one email from a guy, and I forget his name, but it was a very cool Facebook message where he had taken 20,000 and turned it into 140,000. And I started warning that these marijuana stocks started looking like they were topping, and this was the kind of pattern that I've been trading for over a decade. And some people listened to me, other people were like, never take losses, and they just kept adding as their stocks dropped. But this one guy went from 20,000 to 140,000. And then, he didn't listen to me at first, but then he was like, okay, maybe Sykes is right, let me sell. He locked in $70,000, and then the stocks continued collapsing. He would actually have an overall loss if he had not sold. He locked in profits of roughly 50,000, and now he's one of my trading challenge students. And that's awesome. It's all about locking in profits and understanding the patterns. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to take losses. A rule about never taking trading losses is a terrible rule, and it's very dangerous. And I need you guys to understand that the easy money is over. A lot of people have been spoiled by a multi-year bull market the past few years, and you think that the stock market can only go up. Very similar to the real estate investors from several years ago, where they said, you know what, just put your money in real estate. It's only going to go up. And then they saw drops of 30, 40, 50, 70%. And people realized, wait a minute, every market does not always just go up. That's not how markets work. So you really need to understand this, that right now the easy money is over. And I know that that's kind of confusing, because today, so the second day in a row, the S&P 500 hit new highs. The NASDAQ and the Dow are not far behind with new all-time highs. So people are saying, why are you saying the easy money is over? It's a bull market, let it ride. Well, we are at new highs, but there's not much money being made in 2014. The media loves to say that it's a bull market. A lot of people would like to think that it's a strong bull market when you hit new highs, but even with the S&P 500 hitting new highs, guess what? It's up roughly 3% this year. That's terrible. Mind you, I'm up 122%. Most of my top students are up 50, 75. Some are up 100 or 200 or even 300% on their small accounts. But the S&P 500 is up 3%. So yes, it is hitting new highs, but barely. The NASDAQ is up a paltry 1%. It's keeping in line with inflation. And you have a lot of risk after this multi-year bull market. So don't let the headlines make you think, oh, let's just invest and do nothing. No. You have to be meticulous, and that's what this webinar is all about. I'm trying to give you the tools to help you be meticulous, and it might be surprising how little effort that you're going to have to put in. You just have to be on the right path, and that's what it comes down to. I'm on the right path. My students are on the right path. We have the right mentality. People like the Wolfpack, they had the wrong mentality. They were very fortunate, and maybe some of them were very wise for seeing the rise of the marijuana stocks, but they were on the wrong path when they did not cut losses, when they refused to cut losses. Now they have big losses and they're very quiet. And I don't want that to happen to anybody else. So it's actually amazing that we're doing this webinar right when the stock market is at its highs, because I don't know how many new highs we can make. And even if we do make new highs, is it really worth it to be invested at all times making 1, 2, 3, 4% per year? And the answer is no. So what now? Do not get slaughtered, okay? I don't want you being invested with the hope of being invested in an index or a stock that's hitting new highs every few weeks or every few months or every few years, but risking a ton of downside. After this multi-year bull market, I would not be surprised to see a few days or a few weeks where the market crashes 5, 10, or even 20%. And I don't want to just put fear in you. I don't want you going out tomorrow and being like, oh my God, the market's crashing, I have to sell. I want you to understand the risks. And the key to being a successful trader is that we adapt to the risk reward. Right now, there is greater risk that the markets will drop than the reward of it going higher. Uneducated traders will lose. Uneducated traders don't think about risk reward. They just see the headlines, oh, stock market's hitting new highs, let me just stay long. And then when the stocks fall out of bed 5, 10, 20%, usually in the fall, September, October, they're blindsided. And I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want you to be blind. I don't want you losing money. I want you to understand the risks. And the biggest thing that you need is the right tools. Because when markets change or possibly on the verge of changing, you need to be prepared. And that's the whole message of this webinar. I'm trying to prepare you, and over the next, 45 minutes, I'm going to give you what I think are the necessary tools to help you prepare for markets like these. So which strategy do you take right now? There's a lot of strategies out there. There's a lot of different stuff, but what are you going to focus on? Which trading vehicle? There's a lot to choose from. You have Forex, where you can trade currencies and have a ton of leverage. No one's really going to talk about the fact that 5 out of 6 Forex traders blow up in the first 6 months. Shh, don't tell anybody that. And when you do blow up because of the excessive leverage, you're probably in debt if you go by historical stats, which I like to do. Or options and binary options. No one wants to talk about that. Most options traders lose money. Again, they blow up. And I don't know any consistently profitable options traders out of all the people I know. And I've lived in New York, I've lived in Miami, I've lived in LA, I've lived in Rome, I've lived in Spain. I've visited over 80 countries, and I have never met a consistently profitable options trader. That's scary. So should you go to ETFs? ETFs are safe. You know, these are exchange traded funds, and they basically just mimic how an exchange is doing. So you can invest in the NASDAQ, you can invest in the S&P 500, or you can invest in one of the ETFs that bets on the reverse of that index. So you can bet that, let's say, the NASDAQ is going to go down if you want to be bearish. And I don't think that's where the big money is. You know, indices don't move that much. So what are you going to do? If you're right about the NASDAQ, you might make, again, so far in 2014, you'd be up 1%. Even if you had a triple ETF, there are some ETFs where they use a lot of leverage because they know that, you know, these indices don't move very fast. So let's do a triple, right? So if the NASDAQ is up 1%, the NASDAQ 3 times ETF is going to be up 3%. Ooh. Again, you're just keeping up with inflation. That is boring. Mutual funds, how about those? Everyone loves mutual funds. It's a $1 trillion industry. How can you go wrong? Well, again, most mutual funds barely go up more than 5, 10, 15% per year. If you hit 20% per year with a mutual fund, you're a god, okay? Like Bill Miller, where he made 15, 20% for several years, and then he actually kind of sucked and he lost big time. But they don't want to talk about that. Most mutual funds exist purely so that the mutual fund companies can get the fees. And if you're investing in a mutual fund company that doesn't have the fees, like Vanguard, then again, you're back to the index performance, making 1, 2, 3, sometimes 5% on your money. That's terrible. That is absolutely terrible, okay? That is no different than what some CDs pay. It's a little more than what a savings account pays. And you feel comfortable because you're like, oh, I'm putting my money to work in the stock market. Don't give in to the BS. How about bonds, right? Bonds are safe. If here I am saying, oh, there's so much risk. Well, bonds are safe, right? Bonds are a safe haven from risk. Well, unfortunately, bonds move even slower. You might make 5% per year, maybe 10% in an amazing year, but you have safety on your side. I don't like any of these. Okay? This is James Altucher. He's a good friend of mine, and he had this great quote on his blog one day. Off the blog because I was just so proud. And it's kind of crazy that he and I have been in the business for several decades, and we have encountered the same thing. He said, to quote, "I know thousands of day traders, thousands. I know one successful day trader, and that's Tim." I didn't know, that I was the only one. I really did not expect that. I figured, Altucher, he's a little older than me. He's got an extra decade on me in this business, maybe a few years. I don't even know exactly, but he is older, and he knows many more people than I do. I'm not as nice as him, but when he says he doesn't know anybody who's very successful like me, that's crazy. You know, he knows so many FX and options traders, and he says that none of them are successful. So the question is why? Why is everybody so unsuccessful? It's not for lack of trying. There's a ton of FX traders. There's a ton of options traders. If you ever go to like the trading expos or any of the meetups, you have tons of people. They're like, oh, I know a secret. I have the magic formula. Well, unfortunately, there's too much competition. Everybody is chasing the same money, and they crowd each other out because there is so much upside with options and forex because of the leverage, because of how fast these instruments move. But they all crowd it. It's terrible. It's a terrible battlefield that's way too crowded. On top of all these individuals who think that they have magic formulas, and some claim to make a lot of money, even though they don't prove it. I have my website Profitly where I'm like, look, anybody who wants to teach, anybody who wants to show how much money they're making, just show all of your trades. And one by one, people who claim to make big money don't show their trades on Profitly. That's why I'm so proud for showing my trades. I don't win every single time. I win roughly 73% of the time. But I show them all. And my 2 millionaire students and several more students who are getting close to 1 million. There's a misnomer out there where people think, oh, Tim, you have all these students, but you only have 2 of them who are millionaires. What about everybody else? Well, it takes time, okay? I've only been teaching a few years, but I have several students who are getting closer to $1 million in profits. I actually have 2 more students who have passed $1 million unofficially. I can't use their names publicly because they want privacy, and while that sucks, I have to respect that. But as I create more and more millionaires, people will understand that it's not just about me or my 2 millionaire students. It's about the patterns. And it's because I don't have competition, okay? With what I trade, there's no billion-dollar funds. There's not enough money to be made. I'm bragging about making $1 million or $2 or $3 or $4 million. Billion-dollar funds don't even look at a trade unless they can make 10, 20, 30, 50 million on it. There's dark pools out there. You don't even know what a dark pool is, probably. These are exchanges not available to the general public. You have high-frequency scalping. You have these algorithms that are beating you to trades by tenths and hundredths of 1 second, over and over and over and over again with huge amounts of money. That's competition. And then, of course, with stocks, with Forex, with options, you have firms with hundreds of Ivy League PhDs. These are brainiacs who are great at math, and they are terrible at social skills, and they are the weirdest people you will ever meet. That said, they are also the smartest, most determined, and I do not want to go into battle with them in a game that involves math, because I'm not that great at math. And these guys have been studying math since they were taking violin lessons in their high school when their parents were making them to make sure that they got into the Ivy League schools. This is the competition that you face in a trade Forex or options, and that's why 90 to 95% of traders lose. You cannot compete with billion-dollar funds. You cannot compete with robots that are scalping you with hundredths of a second, and you cannot compete with the smartest, richest people in the world. I do not want to trade against George Soros. one of the top fund managers, nor do I want to compete against any of the traders who he personally hires. What I want you to understand is that in most markets that you participate, the cards are stacked against you. Brokers, funds, mutual funds, they only care about fees. Hedge fund managers, sure, they make money from trading. They make a lot of money from trading if they do very well. But they make money from their fees every single year, whether they do well or not. Same thing with mutual funds. Brokers need you trading more, not less. Brokers love you trading because guess what? They make money off your trades. They don't care whether you make money. They don't care whether you grow your account. They would be happy if you churned your account and your account went nowhere, but you racked up a lot of trading fees. That's what they would really love. And then you also have algorithms that see orders before anyone else. And what most people don't even know is that your brokerage firm probably trades against you because they're going with the odds. Since they know that 90 to 95% of traders lose money, they just take the opposite trades of their customers. And they know that they have a 90 to 95% chance of making money. I bet you didn't know that, did you? That is Wall Street. That's why I'm not popular, because I expose all the little tricks of the trade, because my job is to help you make money. I don't make money off management fees. I don't want to manage other people's money. I want to teach you to make your own money. That, I think, is a very, very interesting business. And sadly, there aren't people like me out there. That's why I'm so proud. Borderline egotistical, but mostly just proud and confident. So is the bull market over? I've been talking about this tough competition, about how people are grinding in these popular markets for just 1, 2, 3, 4% per year. Things have been almost too easy. And this is all you get? You're investing your hard-earned money and you're making 1, 2, 3, 4% per year or per 6 months. That's just not worth it. So what are my thoughts on the rest of 2014, 2015, and 2016 and 2017? I'll tell you. You need to choose your battles better. Do not compete against Ivy League PhDs. Do not compete against algorithms that trade faster than you ever humanly possibly can. Do not trade in markets where the odds of success are so low. I know that your mom told you that you were special, but please go with historical stats every now and then. Understand that you're probably not going to be the one guy who makes it past all of these robotic trading machines and people with no social skills and no lives for decades whose only focus is on trading. I'm a hybrid. I have a little bit too much of a social life. I've been to too many countries and made too much money when I was very young, but I can also trade. I'm kind of crossed over. I'm like Neo in the Matrix. That's why I think that I can teach you. Marijuana stocks, internet stocks, Chinese stocks, these are the hottest stocks in the past few months. Marijuana stocks rose exponentially. Internet stocks like Facebook and Twitter, amazing. Baidu, even Chinese stocks. But in the end, it doesn't matter. And this is why you won't see me on CNBC or Fox Biz where they're asking for your top stock picks over the next 3 years. That's a sucker's bet where you're playing a guessing game. That's why there are ugly bald men on TV and they're right 30 to 40% of the time. It's entertaining. They make funny sound effects. They look funny. They entertain toddlers everywhere. But in the end, they don't matter. And that is why if you look at CNBC and Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal, and all of these financial media outlets, their ratings and their subscriptions are hurting because people are not making money with what they say. You don't have to follow breaking news. You don't have to guess what Google's earnings are going to be. You don't have to care about what the Fed is going to do, or the inflation rate, or oil, or gold. These are all suckers' bets. No different than if you go into a casino in Vegas and they try and get you to play Keno or blackjack. I understand there are some people who can count cards so they statistically have the odds in their favor, but the vast majority of people who go to Vegas, they lose. At least they get free drinks and they have fun. If you're in finance, you're not having fun. Your brain hurts from all these numbers and all these blinking red and green lights. And worst of all, historically, statistically, you are not making money. And that sucks. That's the worst thing. So my thoughts on the rest of 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, all the way through 2020 is to get out of the matrix. You need to free yourself from how everybody else thinks. The Matrix sequels sucked. I'm not here to judge movies, but I want you to think differently than the pack. People who brag about making one good play here or there because they feel that they've beat the odds and they feel lucky and they feel smart and they feel special. I don't want that. My success, my top student success, we realize it is about patterns and indicators that work again and again and again. Not just once, not just twice, not just beating the odds here or there, but winning 60, 70, sometimes 80% of the time on certain patterns. That is how you make millions out of just a few thousand. And that is what I live by, and that's what I teach. So if you want to know where gold is going to go over the next few years, you have a 30 to 40% chance, statistically, of being right. Do you know where the stock market is going to go over the next 2, 3, 4 years? Again, statistically, you have a 30 to 40% chance of being right. And as I think I've shown, when the markets are hitting new highs, even if you are right that the markets are going to hit new highs, you're going to make what? 1, 2, 3, 4%. So you have low odds and low returns if you guess and you play the game that most of finance wants you to play. But if you step back and focus on what I try to teach you, you will do better. Trading can be easy or hard depending on which side you're on. Here's a great picture of Vern Troyer and Dennis Rodman playing at a celebrity basketball game. And I bring this up because basketball can be very different depending on your height. If you are Vern Troyer, basketball is a very different game than if you are Dennis Rodman. So the question is, which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be Dennis Rodman, where you have a lot of people who are probably not as tall as you? Or do you want to be Vern Troyer, where you're looking up and you're seeing people much taller than you and you're trying to shoot baskets and layups into that stiff competition? You do not want that tough competition. You want to be the leading rebounder of all time, okay? You want the game to be easier than more difficult. You are not judged based on the difficulty rating of your trades and investments. This is not Olympic diving. You are not judged on the size of your splash. You are judged based on how much money you're making, how much time you're putting into making that money, and how good all of this makes you feel. Whether you want to do it for education, you want to do it for money, or you want to just do it in your spare time. So easier competition, exponential gains are possible. Do you want in? A lot of people don't want this. A lot of people love being part of the crowd and investing in a company like Google and talking at the water cooler from their 9-to-5 job about how Facebook went up 2% today and how they think, oh, even though Steve Jobs is gone, Apple could still come back. They were going to come out with an amazing new product. That's where there's tough competition. That's where exponential gains are not possible. Do you want that? I'm not a popular guy at the water cooler. Because basically, if someone asks me what I think the markets are going to do, or what I think Apple or Facebook or Microsoft is going to do, I go into a spiel, basically what I've been talking to you about. And they don't like that, because I ruin all their fun. I have stats, I have experience, I have money on my side to back up my argument, but they don't want reality. They want what they've been pitched by the financial media for years. That makes them feel safe. And safety is what a lot of people want. But what I teach is even safer, because you can have financial safety. I'm not going to be one of the popular guys, but I am one of the richest guys in the room every time. So my question to you is, do you want in? Do you want to be popular and talking about these guessing game stocks? Or do you want to be rich and go with what works statistically? Go with what works historically, again and again and again. Long and short. A lot of people think that I'm just a short seller. Oh, you're that guy who short sells scams. That's cool. That's an interesting idea. But many people don't realize that I made my first million going long. And the reason why I'm up 122% in 5 months in 2014, over $600,000 in profits, is because I adapt. I go long and I go short, depending on the patterns, depending on the indicators. I maximize my profits year in, year out. I'm not biased. I'm not like a firm that formerly had the headline, be bullish, and then they went bankrupt. I don't care whether to be bullish or be bearish. I will go with what the patterns tell me. And that way, I am constantly adapting the market, constantly beating those who are not willing to adapt. So how to be on the right side of trading. You trade small caps, aka penny stocks. Ooh, I said a bad word, penny stocks. Everybody hates penny stocks. Why? Because they're speculative, because they have one or two products, because their stocks trade under $5 per share. There is so much misinformation and misguided hatred towards penny stocks. You have movies like Wolf of Wall Street where people are like, oh, they're all scams. They're all scams. Anybody who's involved in penny stocks is a scam artist. And I get people to this day who tell me that. But I'm not interested in whether it's just a scam or not. I'm interested in volatility and volatility and volatility and volatility. No, your record is not skipping. That is what I want. Penny stocks sometimes go up 100% in one day. When is the last time Google went up 100% in one day? Never. When is the last time Intel or Microsoft or GE or Bank of America or Sirius Satellite Radio or any giant company that gets talked about again and again and again and again and again all over the major media? The answer is never. My penny stocks don't get a lot of media hits, but they get volatile. And volatility is predictable. Pump and dumps. Stocks that go up as the insiders fleece anybody else. They line their pockets with money, either in the form of salaries, which are outrageous, or stock, and they get millions of shares and they dump it on unsuspecting investors, or they get cash. Doesn't matter. They pump up the stock price and they dump it on everybody else. It's a very simple pattern. The stock goes straight up and then it goes straight down. And unfortunately, far too many people are confused why. They see a positive press release and they see a stock down 50% and they say, you know what? Penny stocks are unpredictable. This doesn't make any sense. And they don't take the time to realize that, oh, wait a minute. If the stock is down 50% and there's a positive press release, perhaps the company put out the positive press release to lure people to buy while they're selling. Pump and dump. The cool thing, though, about penny stocks, the coolest thing, which I think many people don't understand, is that there are small, real companies with growth potential. Not every stock under $5 a share is a pump and dump. Indicators. This is what I use to see what is good versus what is crap. News, contracts, earnings, manipulation. Depending on the upward catalyst for whatever stock is in play. That is how I can tell whether it's a good company or bad. And the cool thing is that it's very easy to tell based on the news, based on the indicators, if you just read it. And it's not just about the PRs. Sometimes you also have to go into the SEC filings. Oh yes, there's two sets of news every time a company issues news. You have the one-pager PR, which they give to the press, and they hope that websites like TechCrunch and MarketWatch and Bloomberg and TheStreet.com will pick it up and talk all about how great a company's new product or service is. But then there's also the SEC filings, which are 10, 20, 30, 50, sometimes 100 pages. And they talk about all the legal stuff, like what the actual contracts mean and the risks and how much money is actually involved. And that's what I dig through. I read the PRs, but I don't give it nearly as much importance as the SEC filings. And this is what makes me successful, by being meticulous. And a lot of people don't want to read 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 page SEC filings. I do, because I like getting to the bottom of the story. I'm like a detective. Let me show you just what I mean. Some penny stocks don't stay penny stocks. There are major percent gains possible. Here's why. You can see this. I alerted this in my long-term newsletter back in 2012 before it rose all the way to $90 a share. This was a great winner, and it was an exponential winner. And Google did not go up this much over the course of 2 years. You're not going to make 9 times your money that quickly. And here's an example of one of my shorts. Centaur Energy, CNTO. This was a blatant pump and dump. And I actually made a video for my subscribers before I even shorted this. And I said, here are the reasons why I'm going to short this. Here are the red flags in their SEC filings that far too many people don't read. And I shorted it in the 2s, and now it is trading at 4 cents a share. I covered too soon. I didn't wait until it dropped all the way to 4 cents, but I made over $70,000 on this one play in just a few days. I'm pretty happy with that. Or you can trade stocks that everyone trades and get nowhere. Here's a 6-month chart of Microsoft, and the stock has gone from roughly $38 to roughly $40. An amazing gain of 5% over 6 months. And that's actually above average. That's beating the NASDAQ, which is only up 1% over the comparable time period. Do you see a difference when you can make 9 times your money in a few months? Or you can make 90% shorting a stock that is inevitably going to crash versus a stock like Microsoft, which gets all the news, and yet the stock barely budges. It's not just me killing it in any market. I want to tell you about a few great stories. Michael Good, my first millionaire student, at first he hated me. He wrote a blog post that said, Timothy Sykes is full of BS, and he gave a few reasons why, without researching what I actually teach, just making assumptions like a lot of people do when they first hear about me. I responded in the comment section. We went back and forth, and guess what? He became my first millionaire student, and now he helps coach other Trading Challenge students, and he's an excellent mentor and trader. Tim Grittani, aka Croy Runner, and Michael Good, his name is Reaper. They have screen names. I don't have a screen name. I just use my name. But Tim Grittani was my second millionaire student, and he started with $1,500 of his own money, and now he's up to 1.73 million. As I said, we're featured on CNN, Reuters. Everyone loves the story because he's actually 25 now. But you know, I visited him in Ohio in his little dorm room. We got it on video when he crossed over $1 million in profits, and he was just so thankful because the money absolutely changed his life. He's not like all superficial now. He hasn't even spent a lot of it, but he has that financial security. And he thanked me profusely. So did Michael Good. And I love it because they are knowledgeable and not just wealthy. They're self-sufficient. They don't need my alerts anymore. They don't need my research. They can do it on their own. Ivan B., Bob Garrett, Tim Bowen, Wriggleson. These are a few guys who I actually took on a $12 million yacht a few weeks ago. You will be seeing the video shortly. It was actually a pretty amazing experience to go on this giant yacht for several days and experience just true luxury. It was my treat to them. They paid no money whatsoever. I paid roughly $10,000 per person, and I took 6 Trading Challenge students. I like taking my students to crazy places. Tim Grittani, I took to the Maldives when he passed $100,000 in profits as a reward. That was his first time overseas, and it was pretty crazy for him to go to the Maldives for his first trip. But Ivan B., he's up, he's getting close to 70,000. I think he's up to 69,000 on Profitly. You can look him up. His nickname is Stock Realist, STOCKREALIST. Go look at his chart. It's beautiful. Bob Garrett's up, I think he said around 250,000 since he became my student. Tim Bowen doesn't even keep track. He actually runs a business, so he's just a part-time trader, but he says that he's up several hundred thousands of dollars with my strategy. Wriggleson just started a few months ago, but you know, he made a nice video, and he's very thankful that he was up $30,000 with my patterns. And Wozniak quit his job at Apple to become a trader, and he made over $500,000 in just a few months. So these are just a few of the stories. You know, these are all guys, but I also have female students. I should mention Ashaya. She bought herself a brand new BMW with her trading profits. And my friend Tracy, who is also banking several $1,000s on a few trades this year. You know, These are the kinds of typical stories. These aren't like, oh my God, this person made $50 million with my stuff. This guy made $1 billion. That's not reality, okay? Anybody who tells you that is lying to you. This is reality, where you can make several hundred thousands of dollars, several millions of dollars with these patterns, with these non-guessing game indicators. There is nothing different between you and my successful students. These are pictures. The first picture up top was on that $12 million yacht. That's Bryant, also all the way on the left, giving kind of a weird face. He's up like 150,000. He's a family man. There's Tim Bowen next to me in the center. Ivan right to my right. We have Blake second from the right, and he's up like 35,000. And then Riggleson is all the way on the right. And then we also had a delicious breakfast at this ridiculous villa in the British Virgin Islands. But these guys are great, and they're just like you and me. And, you know, we're all just normal guys. None of us are like math geniuses. I didn't go to an Ivy League school. I drank through most of college. But as long as I focus on the patterns and the indicators and focusing on what really drove my account forward, that's what I learned to prioritize, rather than, you know, buying these ridiculous suits and hobnobbing in the Hamptons. I'm not an investment banker, okay? I can do this from anywhere in the world. We actually made some trades on the yacht, as I'll talk about in a second. And, you know, when you can trade and you can make money from anywhere in the world, you don't have to play the game. You don't have to have a boss who you hate. You don't have to work in a cubicle. You don't have to get a fancy suit to try and impress potential clients. You don't have to do any of that. You can do whatever you want. You can be yourself. It is a vastly, vastly different existence when you are happy and you are financially free than somebody who hates their job, is not free, is probably still paying down their student loans because they've been in school for so long, or paying down their debts. I hate debts and I hate loans, and I've been very blessed to never have to deal with that. And I hope that I can teach you guys to do the exact same kind of financial freely living that I do. So I need more. I need more successful students. I want more successful students. My question to you is, who is next? This is me and Tim Grattoni on the front page of CNN Money when he turned 1,500 into $1 million. This was just a few months ago, and now he's up to 1.7 million. And it's going to keep going. 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, because he knows the patterns. And I want more of this. I want more front page CNN Money. Look at that. 5,600 people recommended this on Facebook. That was fantastic. I love it. A lot of people saw what was possible for the first time. You don't think that it's possible to turn 1,500 into 1 million. CNN grilled us. We showed them all the trades. We showed them all the brokerage statements. We had many conversations before they were willing to show this publicly. But it's true. And when you show all your trades, we have nothing to hide. It's kind of a beautiful thing. So you have two decisions right now to make. I know where the gold mine is, and I want to be your guide because the market is perfect. That's right. Let me say this again. I know where the gold mine is. This is not a question. When I said that I was going to create a Millionaire Trading Challenge student, it was a question. Oh, can he do it or not? Now I have 2 so far, official and 2 unofficial millionaire students. It's not a question anymore. It's a question of how many millionaire students can I create? And I want to be your guide because, again, as I said in the beginning, I never had anybody showing me the ropes, and that sucks. And the market is so perfect right now. So you can learn from me, or you can lose money trying to figure it out yourself. You have that option. You can ignore me. You can say, you know what, Tim? I don't believe you. And that's your right. And that's sad because what I try and do is show you the patterns, show you the indicators, show you the students, show you that what I do is 100% real. And I want you to understand that because I want more testimonials. I want more successful students. I want to take more people out of the matrix who are playing the wrong game and wondering why their account never grows more than 5 or 10 or 20% per year. Think about it. If you have $20,000, which is a fair amount of savings for most people, and you make 20% per year, year 1 you're making $4,000 bucks. Awesome. Year 2 you're making $5,000 bucks. Year 3 you're making a few thousand more. It doesn't change you. Tim Grittani went from 1,500 to 1.7 million in 3 years. I went from 12,000 to 1.65 million in 4 years. Azenjan, I should have brought him up. He's gone from 2,000 to 200,000 in 2 years. The students will keep coming, but they are no different than you. And I can teach you in 3 hours what will take you 3 months to figure out on your own. There is a cost to being ignorant. Ignorance can be very expensive, and you simply cannot afford to be ignorant. Let me repeat these because this is very important. Many people think, oh, I'll just learn on my own, I'll do it myself. That way, I know it myself. Unfortunately, it will take you many tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses before you learn what I've already learned and what I'm trying to teach you. Everything I teach is time-tested. Everything I teach is self-taught. I've been there, lost, trusting CNBC, reading the Wall Street Journal, trying to get an edge, and not knowing why my account wasn't growing. I've had periods of downtime where I haven't been growing my accounts. I didn't know to refine my rules over the first 4, 5, 6 years. Year 7, year 8, year 9, I started thinking, you know what? Wait a minute. I see what works. Let me focus on these specific patterns. Let me ignore all the other stuff. And I was kind of shocked that what I know is very different from what the vast majority of people in finance focus on. And perhaps that's what separates me from the pack. So here are my predictions. Here's what I predict will happen. I will predict that I will have many more millionaire students. I predict that the smart money will continue to kill it. I predict that the markets will weed out the weak. I want you to trade less and make more. I want you to make smarter trades. One of my top students, Mark Crook, who I should have mentioned too, I have so many successful students, I can't keep track of them all. Seriously. He quit his job as an accountant in a cubicle. He's now up nearly $300,000 with my strategy. And we found out, he moved down to Miami. He moved to a warm climate because he loves it down there. And we went through his trades and we discovered that he made over 80% of his profits on just 6% of his trades. And guess what patterns? All 6% of those trades followed. Mine. When he deviated from the patterns, he did not do as well. It was amazing to see the look in his face. And I have this on video. My filmographer, Joey, we have to dig it up. We have so many hours of video. But this was a magical moment where he was just like, wow. And it was right there, black or white. So I want you to hire me. This is a job application. I want to work for you. A multi-millionaire trader working for you. Let me find the indicators. Let me do all the research. Let me show you how to trade. I love this. I'm totally 100% addicted to teaching and doing research. And many of you guys don't have the willpower, you don't have the time, you don't have the dedication that I do to dig through a 30, 40, 50-page SEC filing like I love doing. Some people like watching CSI. Some people like watching American Idol. My girlfriend likes The Real Housewives. But I like research. While she's watching that junk on TV, I am doing research. That's what I love to do because I see how it can change lives. I'm not just wasting away in front of a TV. I'm not playing games, and I'm not even trading stocks that the major media wants me to trade so I can go on CNBC and guess where Starbucks is going to be up or down 10 or 20% in the next year. I'm doing the research that changes lives. And I've seen it with my life, and I've seen it with several of my top students' lives. So I want you to hire me. I want to change your life. I want to work for you. My goal for you from this webinar is to make a full-time living trading only part-time. That's it. It's a simple goal, but to make a ton of money and not put in a ton of time. You need an unfair advantage. I'm giving you that unfair advantage. And I've created 2 tools based on my 15 years of experience. My most successful trading challenge students use these tools. My top 10 students all use these 2 tools. One of these tools alerted my biggest gain this year, and it almost puts your trading on autopilot. It is truly unfair, and I am truly proud to present it to you. So what are these tools, you ask? Well, I'm about to tell you. Tim Long-Term and stocks to trade. I'm going to show you a few tweets. Blake, who I previously mentioned, he says, "Thank you, Timothy Sykes, for creating stocks to trade. Caught the XXII news the second it came out, prepared orders immediately." Tom McCarthy said, "Timothy Sykes, the best OTC traders use stocks to trade." And then I tweeted, "Every night I use stocks to trade. People love it." Let me show you a few charts, because I know I've been doing a lot of talking and some of you guys are visual learners. I'm a visual learner. I like charts. So this is U on demand. YOD is the ticker. And you can see this 7-day chart. This was from a few months ago when I was hanging around in the twos doing not much. But it was in my Tim Long-Term newsletter because I thought this stock had such huge potential. They were the Netflix of China in my mind, and I have several research reports talking about how I think they were growing so fast with getting subscribers for their video on demand. And sure enough, within 2 days, out of the blue, when an article did come out calling them the Netflix of China, it spiked from 2.5 to 4.5 in this chart. And my students made 75,000 plus in profits. What you don't see is a day later, the stock actually hit $7 a share. But we had already sold out because we had made 30, 40, 50% gains on our money. I had it in my long-term and short-term account. And it was alerted to me by stocks to trade. Here's another one. Here's a picture of Blake on the yacht that we were on. And I bought EKSO at 496. He actually alerted to me in the 470s. And it was already up from like the 3s just a few days ago. I was like, you know what? Let it come down. They make this amazing exoskeleton that allows paraplegic people to walk. And the news had just broke on CNET. I was like, you know what? Let's give it some time. We had a nice lunch out on the yacht. And by the time I got back, it was uptrending. And I was like, oh my God, stocks to trade found this. Blake used stocks to trade to find this stock. And I need to buy it because it's uptrending so much. And that's exactly what happened. I bought it in the high 4s, sold it in the low 6s, made over $70,000, and then it went to nearly $8 a share. My students made $250,000 on that one stock alone. Stocks to trade found that stock. CNBC never covered this stock. They never covered YOD until the stocks were way up too high, above the $5 a share threshold. You need to get in before CNBC talks about these stocks, and that's what I do. So sit back and relax and let me and my tools work for you. Trade part-time and make a full-time income. You get all of my scans and filters in Stocks to Trade. Stocks to Trade also finds the ideal trades even when you aren't looking because of the scans. And the monthly webinars from my top students for Stocks to Trade. Tim Grattani just gave a great one a few days ago. You simply log in and Stocks to Trade spits out trade ideas all day long. Tim Long-Term, I do all the research on the biggest potential gain stocks like YOD and EKSO. These aren't day trades. You buy and hold for days and weeks and months. Today, for example, I just sold ARCI. I locked in profits, roughly 10%. Nothing huge, but I held it for a few weeks. It was predictable. It was an earnings winner. It was beautiful. So take a few minutes out of your day and buy longer-term trade ideas. You can make money and maintain a life, because this is one of the top complaints I get from my trading students. You know, they want to trade, but they're busy with school. Some have full-time jobs. Some are family people. Some have pets. I know. I have a pet, and that's a lot of work. So a lot of people just love the long-term newsletter because it's very simple. There's no short selling involved with Tim Long-Term. I know some of you guys, I want to teach you short selling, but I know some of you guys only want to go long. And that's why Tim Long-Term is long only. And I'm offering big discounts because you have shown me that you want to beat the markets. You want to be above everybody else who is standing at the water cooler talking about Google, Facebook, Apple, the Dow, the S&P 500, gold, the GDP. I'm so sick of all of this popular financial jargon. None of those people make the kind of exponential gains that my top students and I make, and it's because we are playing by different rules. and I want you to play by these rules too, so I'm offering you big discounts. You have 60 minutes. Start the clock. 60 minutes from now. Even during my sales, I never discount prices on stocks to trade in Tim long term. The next slide, I will give you instructions on how to get this great deal. This is your chance at getting ahead and a great discount. You can buy it at full price, or you can take action right now and get my 2 tools for a solid discount. Are you ready? Here we go. I want to reward action takers, just like Wall Street does. The first 50 people who email admin@timothysykes.com will get the good deal. Take these steps now. You email admin@timothysykes.com with the subject line VIP discount. The body of the email should include your first and last name, your email, and your phone number. I know some people are going to be like, I'll do this tomorrow. I'll do it a week from now. It sounds interesting. No. I want to reward those of you who are willing to take action now. Some trades, you can't just sit back and wait. Let me just wait a week. It's not going to move. And then the stock doubles. You need to learn right now that if you want something, if something is a great deal, and if something can really help you make a lot of money, you need it now, not later. Every minute, every hour, every day that you delay, you're hurting your odds because you're missing out on opportunities. If you aren't a part of my trading challenge, you should set up an interview with my team. Let me read you something that one of my students wrote me. It's great. I love this stuff. I've been a challenge student for about 3 months. I've made about $20,000 so far with his strategy. I have the motivation and desire to make this strategy work. I'm willing to testify about Tim to others as well. This was Greg. Thank you, Greg. $20,000 might not seem like a lot of money for a lot of people, but in your first 3 months, learning a new strategy, that is fantastic. That is the beginning of life-changing type money, because extrapolate that. If you learn everything in 3 months and you make $20,000, what about 6 months? What about 9 months? What about 12 months? Are you going to be up 100 grand? What about 24 or 36 months? The beauty of what I teach is that your gains grow over time, and it's exponential, and it's a marathon. Once I teach you these patterns and indicators, or if you want me to work for you and give them to you, you have them for the rest of your lives. So my question to you is, how badly do you want to be successful? I don't know. I get a lot of emails from a lot of different people. My team interviews all sorts of people. People say they want to be successful, but they're not willing to put up. So prove it. Email admin@timothysykes.com now with the subject line VIP discount, and let's get started. Thank you and good night.